Hi guys, my name is Kirsty, welcome back to Upside Down Books and welcome back to another book haul that I'm still determinedly not calling a monthly book haul, but at this point it basically is.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di
Yeah, so, do you know, I picked out half of these books and went, I could probably do a book haul today. I think I've got enough and, you know, don't want to leave it another month. And then I found the other half of my book haul, and yeah, so at this point, as a small update, I'm going to be taking a break from my buying ban. I've actually, like, on a more serious note, I actually think it's not working in the way I want it to. Apart from the fact it's not literally working, it's also just making me feel really shameful and sad and bad every time I buy a book, which I don't think is what it should be about. I do think that we all love reading so much, and I don't want to feel guilty about acquiring books that I'm excited about. I think I hit that point when I was at my last book club meeting and we were buying some books, and I was like, oh no, I would feel so awful if I bought a book. And then I thought, no, this is ridiculous. I'm so excited about this author's new book, and I will be showing you that book. But yeah, and so I've had enough from that. I might go back to a book buying ban in the future, but for now I think I'm tackling it the other way in trying to pull back from review copies and focus more on my own books, because if I have more time for my own stuff, then I can actually read the stuff I'm hauling. So yeah, that's sort of my more serious explanation. Is I'm actually not trying to so hardcore restrict myself buying books. I'm also obviously trying not to go silly, but it's already got pretty silly anyway. So I am very excited to show you this. A good little chunk of these is actually the leftover things I ordered around Christmas time that have finally arrived. Welcome to Australian shipping. So I can show you all of that. So let's dive into it. I'm going to do it in a completely random order. So the first book is an advanced copy of Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kemmerer. I actually won this. This isn't a review copy I'm obliged to read. Huzzah! So Bridget Kemmerer is a contemporary author, but she's also really well known for the Curse Breakers, for the what's that series called? A Curse So Dark and Lonely, it's on the back of this book. So she wrote the Curse So Dark and Lonely series, of which I've read book 1. I then read part of the blurb for this and managed to spoil myself for the rest of the series. So well done me, and forewarning to other people, there's a little bit of a spoiler on the blurb for this. But not a bad one, so I'm not too upset. However, I think this comes out in May, so chances of me actually getting around in April of reading the other two to catch up is probably zilch. But I think before I read this one, and before I even attempt to tell you what it's about because I don't want to know yet, I will be reading the other series. The other series is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, you know, girl trying to break curse, etc, etc. It's very good, the first one, but yes, and this is still taking place in the same universe. So it was really exciting to win this copy though, because I do, like, I'm very much so keen to read this universe and get involved with it. So hopefully that happens, you know, by the end of the year. That would be nice. So the next book I have to show you is one I actually found in a secondhand bookstore, and it's such a gorgeous and huge edition I had to pick it up, and that is The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. Now this book came out I think in 2019, and I've known about it because I write my monthly releases, like upcoming releases post, and this was on one of those that I did in 2019, and ever since then I have thought that this was Kingdom of whatever. I'll show you that cover here. I've always thought it was this book, and this one's become quite popular, and I thought, oh wow, it's done really well. And then I saw this at the secondhand bookstore and I thought, oh no, I've been thinking of a completely different book, because I was excited at the premise of this absolute behemoth, but I thought it was unusual for it to hit mainstream so hard. So this is epic fantasy, I believe. Let me give you a little read of the blurb. So we've got Aaron, who's lived by the rules his whole life. He's never questioned it, and that's just the way things are. But then his father is executed for treason, and he and his best friend Cade are thrown into a prison mine, doomed to work until they drop, until they somehow can break free. But what lies beyond the prison walls is even worse. Rescued by a man who hates him, yet is oath-bound to protect him, pursued by inhuman forces, Aaron slowly accepts that the rules are not there to protect him or his people, but to enslave them. A revolution is brewing, and Aaron is being drawn into it whether he likes it or not. The Ember Blade is the key, the sword of kings, the Excalibur of his people, but it's locked in an impenetrable vault in the most heavily guarded fortress of the land. All they have to do is steal it. Like, look me in the eye and tell me this doesn't sound incredible. I am so keen. It's like Throne of Glass meets Camelot. I'm so excited to read this. Goodness knows when I'll pick it up, but I think this sounds amazing. So the next two books I actually have double ups of, so let me tell you why. So I ordered these books from Waterstones in the UK, specifically because I wanted this. This is the special Waterstones edition of Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, and it went missing for like 2 months, and we all assumed that it had got lost in the mail. Now, along with that, I also ordered The Women of Troy. Now, this is the sequel to The Silence of the Girls, which I showed you in my last book haul, and The Silence of the Girls I got to match this one, so I was just devastated when these went missing, especially because they had sold out of this special edition of Ariadne. However, that meant that by the time these did just magically turn up, literally 2 months later, a couple weeks later, the replacement copies also turned up, so now I have double ups of things. However, at least I've got 2 different versions of Ariadne. I'll be giving this away to a friend, the extra Women of Troy one. But yes, that is what happened there, so let's stack those up. The Women of Troy is following on with mythological, like, I'm going to call it feminist retellings because it just sounds like it, focusing on always the women in the stories, which I think is really exciting. So I am genuinely so excited to dive into this duology. Ariadne also is mythology. I don't really know actually what it's about off the top of my head. Maybe we should read that. As princesses of Crete and daughters of the fearsome king Minos, Ariadne and her sister Phaedra grow up hearing the terrible bellows of the Minotaur from the labyrinth beneath the palace. The Minotaur, Minos's greatest shame, and Ariadne's brother, demands blood every year. So this is sort of obviously going to be a reimagining of the Minotaur story, which I have encountered before in previous iterations of this tale. But yeah, so yeah, now I've got 2 editions of that, so that's quite funny. But I have heard nothing but good things, and that's kind of like the first time I've really, you know, treated myself to going the extra mile to order something from the UK to get a special edition, so it's a little bit exciting. The next book I have to show you is another one I wanted to give away. Honestly, have been doing well on the free books this month, and that's What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, my favourite contemporary duo ever. A lot of my contemporary shelf is made up of these names. So this is the follow-up to What If It's Us, which I loved. It's a queer gay romance, and it's really, really sweet. It seems to have quite a few mixed opinions about people's response to, I think, particularly the ending to What If It's Us, but I had no such issues, and I absolutely loved it, and I hadn't realised, I think they kept this quite under wraps, that they were doing a sequel follow-up. So Here's to Us is that, and I cannot wait to see where the characters go in this. They're college-age boys, sort of falling into a hesitant romance, and it's just adorable. So the next 3 came out of my sequels haul, the last ones to arrive. So the first one is Onyx by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the sequel to Obsidian. So this one I was a little bit like, oh, do I want to continue, because it's like a little bit romancy for me, but I did enjoy book 1, so I'm giving book 2 a go to see how I go with it. And yeah, so this is Paranormal Fantasy. You're probably already aware of this book. It's pretty like a classic in the paranormal YA world, pretty famous. So yeah, a bit late to the game on this one, but I'm excited to see how I feel going forwards. I've then got the sequel to Enchanté, which is Liberté by Gita Trellis, and this one is set in France during the French Revolution. There's a romance with a hot air balloonist, and it's just quite wonderful, and the magic is quite cute. I did find book 1 a little bit of a slow read, so I'm curious to see where things go in book 2, because I felt like this almost could have just been done in one story, but I don't know, I love the French vibes of this. I find this quite unique to have a YA fantasy, you know, magic set in French Revolution times. Unless I'm forgetting some major book, I don't think I've read much of that before. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this sequel goes. And the next one is not technically a sequel, but it's one I'm treating as a sequel, and that is Transcendent Kingdom by Yajiasi. So Yajiasi Rose to Homegoing. Can't remember what the first book's called. Oh no. Homegoing, and that was brilliant. This is so much smaller than that one. Actually, it's not that much smaller, but the first one is sort of looking at the impact of slavery throughout generations, of a Ghanaian family, I think it is, and this one is also about Ghana and America again, and so this is like, I don't want to miss out on what Yajiasi is writing. Her writing is just incredible, and this has been shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction last year in 2021, so I am hoping that this will be beautiful. I have no idea if any characters or actual storylines will cross over, but I kind of feel like if you read one, you kind of should read the other, just because her writing is just sums it up so well. So this should be great. The next book I have to show you is one that I'm sure you've already all got your copies of as well, and that is the sequel to the Crescent City series, book 2. So House of Sky and Breath. I've heard loads of people reading this, obsessing over this. Have I read book 1? No, I haven't. I just happened to pass this in the bookstore, and it was for a pretty good price, so I picked it up so that I would have matchy tall editions with my first one. I don't even know what this series is about. I haven't finished The Court of Thorns. I haven't finished any of Sarah J. Maas's series yet, actually. So this is of no particular priority, but I'm trying really hard not to get get spoiled. So next I have for you my book club pick of the month for March, which is League of Liars by Astrid Schultz. So I participate in the Demics YA book club, and we're reading this month, so I'm really keen to get around to it. I have read one of Astrid Schultz's books before, Four Dead Queens, and I thought it was quite good, however suffered for being a standalone. I have no idea if this is going to be part of a series, but I'm just kind of expecting it will be a good story. So this one says, shadows are dangerous, Edom is illegal, and liars are cowards. What is Edom? Ever since his mother was killed in a freak Edom-based crime, I'm going to assume that's magic, 17-year-old Whadjuk has had one goal: to have illegal uses of extra-dimensional magic brought to justice. Edom, that's what that is. Alright, so Whadjuk dreams of becoming a prosecutor, and when he secretly accepts an apprenticeship under the city's best public defender, he plans to learn every legal trick he can to one day dismantle defense arguments, and then he'll finally be able to make sure justice is served. But when he meets all three criminals he has to defend, he finds that they are teenagers like him, and their stories are complicated, like his. As their cases unfold, Whadjuk must race to separate the truth from the lies and uncover what really happened the night his mother died. I just really like the premise for this one. It sounds like it's going to be really tricksy and turn you, you know, have you sort of turning corners every other page. So I think this should be interesting, and hopefully I'll like it just a little bit more than Four Dead Queens. So the next book is the one that caused me to take a break from the buying ban, and that is I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys. I have read Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. I've been really wanting to read Salt to Sea, The Fountains of Silence and everything else that she's written, and she's come out with this YA historical fiction, which is a little bit like on the nose right now considering everything going on in Ukraine. But yeah, I am nonetheless very excited to read this, and I just didn't want to miss out. I'm so excited about her writing, and she, for me, this is like one of the big releases for this year, the fact that she's come out with a new book. So this one is a powerful thriller from the Carnegie Medal winning author of Salt to the Sea. So Christian has lived his entire life in a country governed by fear. At 17 he dreams of being free, of studying philosophy and poetry, but everything he does, says or even thinks is controlled by the state. In this climate of constant suspicion, can he trust his best friend, his girlfriend, or even his family? So we always love a good story where nobody can be trusted. I think this will be quite sad and very intense. The next one is another free book that I also won. So I managed to win myself a copy of Pony by R.J. Palacio, which is really exciting because it's one of these books that I just sort of had on my radar for a while, but I have never gone out and bought myself. And not only did I win a copy, I won a hardback. So that's really, really exciting. This is very different to Wanda, which is the only other book by R.J. Palacio that I've read. And this is all about a character who I think his father gets taken away and then there's a horse that comes to help him and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't really want to know more than that. It just looks so strange that I'm willing to dive into this completely blind. So the next three books are a set that I got because of my undying love for this author, and that is a fantasy trilogy by the one, the only Fiona McIntosh. So this is Miriam's Gift. I don't know what the series is called. Oh, the Quickening trilogy. Very strange. So it is the three books with lovely colour coordinated spines. Absolutely love it. So this is actually quite an old series. I want to say that it was in the late 90s when this was first published. Let's see how wrong I am. Oh no, first published in 2003, so well, not far off. So yeah, this is a good 20 years old now, this series, and they've recently repackaged these to have slightly better covers than what they were vibing with before, which is exciting because we do love a modernized cover, and it's always really great when publishers bring old things back into the fore again for us to enjoy. We all know that I love Fiona McIntosh, and I will read any of the many genres that she reads. I've read a lot of historical fiction, but I do really like the one YA fantasy of hers that I have read. So I am really looking forward to picking these up one day and hopefully just binging through the whole series. Thrilled to have a matching set, but yeah, couldn't resist. So I think this is like this month. These have been released with the new packaging or last month, so this is quite recent that these editions have come out. And I think, as you can tell, it's going to be sort of a medieval fantasy vibe going on. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping for good things. Final four books I have to show you are review copies. So the first one is The Brunswick Street Blues by Sally Bothroy. This was sent to me by Harlequin. It is Australian crime, and it is about a girl and like sort of accidentally investigating a crime or a murder, I think, and then she kind of gets a bit too deep into it. I've actually read quite a few of these lately, and they're usually quite entertaining, but none of them so far have like blown me away, so I'm sort of expecting average things from this. I don't know whether I'm going to love it or not, but it's quite a short read, so hopefully it'll be a bit of fun. The next book I do not have a finished copy of yet, but that is Fiona Lowe Lowe's A Family of Strangers. I love Fiona Lowe's writing. I have read Home Fires, but not the book that came out after that yet. So I am really excited to start reading this one. This is going to be the March Book Club Pick of the Month for Harlequin, which will be the last book that I'll be reading for that book club before stepping down. So I am hoping for really good things in this. The book that Home Fires was really like hard-hitting themes, set in Australia. She's an Australian author, so I'm hoping for something really captivating again. She's just one of those general fiction authors that I discovered by accident, and I've just realised how much that genre has to offer, so I have much to thank Fiona Lowe for. The next one is coming out in March as well, and that's The Way From Here by Jane Cockrum. I actually really want to read this, see if I can find time to get around to it. I think it sounds really good. So this is a cache of letters from behind the grave leads a bereaved sister on a journey from Australia to an idyllic French coastal town, and back in time to a golden summer where it all went wrong. An addictive, atmospheric and evocative mystery that examines how we become who we are and whether we can truly know those who we love. So I just really like the premise of that one. I think it sounds quite cozy and nice and maybe a little bit deep, so I'm hoping for some good things from this one. Again, I think all of these are from Harlequin, so thank you to Harlequin for stocking my shelves as usual. I think that's gonna fall. Right, we're gonna put that down there. And the next one I have to show you, I don't know if I've already hauled this one. I think I have. I'll show you again in case I haven't. It's The Nurse's Ball by Victoria Pullman. Have I shown it to you? I think I might have done, but in any case we've got World War I fiction. I won't dive too much into it in case I already have. 1915, obviously going to be about nurses, so another one that I'm quite excited for, and this one's coming out in April. So these are all the books that I've acquired since we last chatted. I don't know how I keep doing this. It's quite impressive, I think. A little bit concerned looking at all of these, how on earth I'm going to fit them into my shelves, but nonetheless I'm having a great time acquiring books, and I'm so very excited about quite a few of these, in particular the Rudicepedis. Going to have some good times with those books. But let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these or if you're planning to, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria mia